right. Welcome to the Life Change Lounge, courtesy of Life Change Institute. My name is Salo Ortiz, licensed clinical social worker and the founder of Life Change Institute. I want to welcome whoever's listening now or listening in later when it comes up on YouTube and on our channel, and just welcoming you to an opportunity to just really hear a real conversation. You have an opportunity to just be witness to just a real conversation with a real woman who has a real story for women and for people. And it's our prayer that you see sort of the life change moments that come out of it, and that you see where your story fits into some of that, and you get empowered as a result of your story. So I want to tell you that we are broadcasting from our Meridian Psychotherapy Services office. The Life Change Institute is a part of this, and United+TRU is who we're partnering with tonight. You can find all of us on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok even, on YouTube, and you'll see all the social media access. Sandra will be sure to highlight those. You can find all of ours at Life Change Institute on all those platforms. Send in your questions. We'll take questions for, about 20 minutes towards the end, and we're just gonna have a real conversation. This is Unscripted Life Change Lounge here. And so I want to take time right now to introduce a friend of mine, more than anything else, a sister and a friend. We were joking before we came on that we think we've known each other now. It's been at least 17 years, at least. And so,
yeah.
I'm going to share some things later, Sandra, that talks about our kids being the same age. And we had kids, 15 years ago, started popping out babies, and it's been the whirlwind ever since. So I'm speaking to Sandra Coates, founder of United+TRU, founder of your own motivational speaking platform and everything else, which is cool and exciting to talk about. Author of an upcoming bestseller that I know is getting released soon.
Yes.
And the wife of an executive pastor who is the man. I will say, like, you are cool, but I'm in love with your husband. He's a cool dude. And so she has taken this journey, this life journey, to just kind of highlight what God has really spoken to in her life through the twists and turns that is your life. But she's done it with such grace when she never felt like it was grace. And so I know that she's an author. I know that she's a wife. I know that she's an executive wife. I know that she is an executive director. And I know that she is a real woman. And so I just want to introduce you, Sandra Coates.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Hey everyone. It's so good to be here. Oh my gosh. I've heard so much about Life Change Institute. Your cool logo and your mission is so awesome and so needed right now. So as Sal said, I am the founder and visionary of United+TRU. So really united because we're all one. The world might be trying to divide us, but it's not true. We're all one. We're all of equal value and worth and purpose, and we need each other. And so we're going to do that right. And so it's a movement for women and girls to really showcase the beauty and the value that is already within them, the beauty that they have, and the understanding that you're not supposed to look like somebody else. You don't have the same purpose, vision. You shouldn't have to be able to compare every single ounce of your life with everybody else. You don't need to do that. There's only one of you. And so the TRU stands for, I have my, wait,
Go
hot
ahead,
off the
go
press,
ahead.
my new shirt.
Look, well, she's got to swag it up, right? Because she saw the logo here, so she's like, yo, I got to represent.
Whoa.
So what about this shirt? What came up with the design? What is that about?
So I worked with Morgan Hart. She is awesome graphic designer. We worked on this logo and came up with the word. I mean, really, it was inspirational. Like, I felt like this was the name. It was United+TRU. TRU is an acronym for transformed, redeemed, and unique. And that speaks to every woman. That is who she is. And so whether or not she sees that, we see that. And so it's definitely something where if you want to be a part of, you are United+TRU. You don't have to like sign up. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying?
You don't have to do the initiation process. You don't have to get hazed in. You don't have to, you just knowing that you own that you're true, knowing that you own that you are the woman that you were made to be, just the way you are, is what signs you in. Right?
Yeah. And we believe that God orchestrated all of this. So whatever you feel about that, we believe that God wants to show you more about your beauty and your purpose and your worth. That's far more than you and I could ever even dream up or or plan. And so it really goes beyond, how we look on the exterior,
Yep.
and it goes so much deeper. And then the coolest part of it is then that flows out,
Right.
and people see that. And
Right.
so it's a beauty that is transformational.
Yeah, that's awesome, Sandra, because what I do, as some of you may know, in Life Change Institute, birthed out of my work as a licensed clinical social worker. And so what we talk about is letting people, and then Life Change Institute coming out of that, transforming lives to what they were meant to be. When you walk in the glory, when you walk in the grace that is who you were meant to be, there's this sort of pep in your step, and there's a little bit of burst in your, a little swelling in your chest that says, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And it, just saying that you're good doesn't mean that you're completely okay with all the parts of you. There's things that, of course, we don't like, but I'm okay with those because even the parts that I don't like all come together to make me who I am, and I know that I'm okay with who I am, right? And so those things are difficult, right? When I lost my hair at the bright and young age of like 20, 19, it took a long time to embrace this beautiful baldness. It's not that it had to be good, but I know it was part of who I was, and I'm okay with that. And so that's what it means, right? To be true, to be transformed into this sort of acknowledgement of who we're meant to be.
Yeah.
Right? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we got to know too, we all come with scars. We all come with battle wounds. We all come with scars. And there's so much to it. But.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Sandra. I told Sandra in prepping for this, she honored me with coming on board. Life Change Lounge just has 2 scripted questions. Everything else is just going to fly off the cuff, and let's see what happens. One of 2 scripted questions is this, and we'll jump right into it, and hopefully, conversation comes from that. But we like to talk about, while there's a lot of life change moments that we have, different significant moments, there's probably one significant or a pretty significant life change moment that you had that led to United+TRU, that led to your desire to really write a story about it and put it into book format, that led to you wanting to sort of minister and reach out. So for you, Sandra, what was the life change moment that led to these things that we're going to talk about tonight?
Yeah. Gosh, that's so good. Great question. So Salo has been on my book launch team. And it's been so cool because we needed a guy. We needed a guy who was relevant. We needed a guy who was in it. I love that you're a social worker and that you're in it. You're in the muck. You're working with patients. You're working with people. But anyway, in that book is I talk about what happened. And it's really the life change moment. And that is when I was asked if I wanted more. If I wanted more out of my life. If I wanted to get well. And so one of the areas that for me, we all have them, but one of the areas that for me was tripping me up, was holding me back, was I was addicted to food, and nobody knew it. And so it happened in times of, you can't like script all that because you need to eat.
Yeah, it's something that's a substance.
Give it all up. Yeah.
This is not crack. This is not something outside substance. This is something that you need to live.
Exactly. And so, but what it was doing was it wasn't nourishing me, it was sabotaging me, and it was controlling me, but I didn't think there was any way out of it. And so what I would do...
Wait, how old were you talking about? How far back are we going?
Oh, let's go way back. So when I was a young girl, so I was always super big, like just bigger for my size. I was overweight. I struggled with... feeling shame and guilt, and I was always questioned, like, why are you so big? Like basically, why don't you fit the mold of what a girl should be?
Right.
And I'm sure some of you felt that way too. I know it. I know it. I don't even have to ask you. And so what it does is then you start to try and conform. You start to try and do things. And so I started to, food was one of those things. And then my dad walked out when I was 11. And all of a sudden, there we are, my sister and I, and single family home and all that kind of stuff. And I just remember being like, this food thing, it just wouldn't let me go. And it was later on, so fast forward, I went through some times of just like, I stopped eating, I like lost a bunch of weight, then it was just this whole cycle. But I never knew there was more. I never knew that God wanted to do something different. And I never knew him in that way.
And to know that God, the way you see God and the way you built a relationship with God, wanted to do something more and something different with you. How could he want to do something different with me, with all the baggage, with all the hurt, with all the scars and all the things that I had already, right? My addiction to food, my single parent home, or whatever other things in so the self-doubt that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
God still wanted to use me for more. What does that mean? And so how can that be, right?
Yeah, it was all of that. And a lot of times we think we need to kind of arrive somewhere
Yep.
before we can be changed, before
Yep.
we can be used. We have to want it. We have
Yep.
to do all these things. I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
What happened was it was in the middle of my kitchen,
Mm.
and I was like, why am I still dealing with this?
Yeah.
Nobody's home. You know, it always happens when like nobody's around and you kind of
Yeah.
feel like you're just falling into it. You know, you're
Yeah.
falling off the path. And it was like this voice inside of me. It was like, do you want to get well?
Yeah.
Like I was like asking myself, like, will this always be my struggle?
Yeah.
But I'd never asked that before.
Yeah.
And there I was, you know, like late 20s, something like that. I was married. I was like, oh, we're good. I'm good.
Yeah.
No,
Just
I'm
gotta
not
ride
good.
this out.
I'm not good.
Yeah.
And so it was then that I was like, what?
So
Like there's actually more to this.
yeah.
And what happened was I was like, wait, I've never seen myself other than being a project,
Mm.
other than being someone who just didn't make. I didn't do it well enough. I didn't have
Yeah.
enough faith. I wasn't good enough
Not good
here. I wasn't pretty enough here. I didn't have this. I wasn't confident enough. All the
Yeah.
things you could just punch holes in all
Yeah.
these different areas that God's like, no, I didn't say that at all.
Yeah.
Like, who are you talking about? Like, you are mine.
Yeah.
And I want to use all of that mess and I'm going to make something so beautiful out of it, you won't even know what it is. Like, you won't even be able to
That's
recognize
cool.
yourself.
That's crazy to me, Sandra, because I'm thinking back. I told you guys we've known each other, 17 years or so, right? I'm 43, 44, going on 44
Don't
soon.
ask me how old I am.
Nope, you are 21. So, you were 3 when I met you. But thinking back to when we first met and thinking back that's that part of the journey that started this transformation. That's the part of the life change moments, right? That said, no, there's more to be had. And you started pursuing something a little different. And life didn't stop coming at you.
Right.
But
right.
in this time that we were both young and just trying to figure things out and trying to figure out how to adult is when you started seeing that there was more to be had. And so now we fast forward through, I was a part of one of your events last year in 2019, right?
Dude,
I think
you
that was
weren't just a
2019.
part. You were the DJ.
So
Come
look,
on now. He
let's
brought
say
it. He brought it down.
Sandra has, with United+TRU, she has a fashion show.
Yes.
And so what's birthed out of this journey is not just the book that we're going to be talking about and this sort of process that is your addiction to food and then the healing that comes from that and still the regular day-to-day struggles, but also these other events and these things that's come out that's been able to show people their value. And so she has a fashion show and she says, hey, you want to DJ a fashion show? And I've DJ'd weddings, I've DJ'd my own events, and I got to DJ a fashion show, which was crazy. Where does a fashion show fit into being able to walk in this transformation and redeeming that you saw? How does a fashion show fit into that? Because look, a lot of people think about it as you're showing off looks and you're showing off this, so you're supposed to look a certain way. So how does a fashion show fit into that, Sandra?
Yeah. No, it's so good. So what happened was God decided, because I've always been really tall and I struggle with like I said, with food. So I grew really fast and I was really big. As he was healing me, he began to say, I want to use your height and I want to show you that you're worth it. You're even worth going on a runway, Sandra. And so he took me and I started doing some training. And I went up to New York. I had this opportunity to go up there, do training. It's called AMTC, this Christian modeling and acting talent agency. It opened my eyes to see every single one of us has talent.
Yeah.
Every single one of us has things inside that the world needs.
Yeah.
But it was done in a way of like, all of this is not for you.
Yep.
You and I, we're the vessel.
Right.
But it's how we do it that people see the difference. Who are we out there to honor? Are we out there to honor ourselves? Or are we out there to honor God and show the world, hey, this is what it means, you know, to live like that.
So there's a balance, right? There's a balance of these two things, right? Because we talk about owning it and walking in it, right? And so today, whether it's today's vernacular or not, we talk about this swag that you have, right? Because I hear this a lot from people. They're like, you're so outspoken and you walk with such confidence. I'm like, you have no idea the trembling that happens behind the scenes. But we have to own some of this and yet also know that it wasn't for me. It was God that put it in there and that it's meant for somebody else. How do you own it and be confident in it and yet be humble about it?
Great question.
That's hard.
It becomes really easy when you figure out who you're representing. Are you representing you?
Gotcha.
Or is it for a bigger purpose? That is why we use fashion. I love fashion. Love it. You can be so fun and modest and proud and be so fashionable. You can. I don't care what age you are.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could go the other way.
Yep.
And you can try and think that this is just the latest style. This is what everybody's doing. You can
Yep.
do all of that, and you're still chasing after this identity.
Yep.
That no. Like you have it all.
Yep.
You have it all. But what are you looking out? What are you chasing after?
Yeah.
And so the fashion show is meant to be all shapes, sizes, colors,
Mm-hmm.
and it's representative of the way that God designed beauty.
Yeah.
He designed value. He designed women. We are image bearers.
Mm-hmm.
We are meant to bear the image of Him. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, we are beauty.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
bear a piece of His beauty. But that comes with a target.
I'm playing
That
this.
comes.
I'm playing this play on words, Sandra. Right? We bear beauty, and so I know. Right? I'm a girl dad. For those who don't know, I've got two little girls, 15 and 12, soon to be 15. Happy birthday coming up, right? 15 and 12, and grew up with all women. But the male sort of view that is beauty in womanhood, beauty and even obtaining a wife and this sort of thing is bare beauty, right? B-A-R-E, right? To, and to be bare. And so there's this sort of nakedness that comes with beauty.
Yeah.
Well, we see it a lot in fashion, Sandra. If we're real about it, we see society, we see marketing, we see TV, and we see whatever that tells you you're supposed to not only be a certain size or a certain color, but you're also supposed to show a certain amount to be beautiful.
Exactly.
And if you don't show something, you're not beautiful. How do you put on a fashion show that bears all colors, shapes, and sizes and ages, and doesn't bear more than it needs to, but it's not a bunch of women in burqas covering everything head to toe?
Right.
Now, I don't got nothing wrong against a burqa, but that's not fashion in American Western culture. So how do you do this?
So this is the thing. We use local designers, we use big time designers, and we say, this is what we're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just your average fashion show.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just coming together just for fashion. It's for every woman to say, I have a spot on that runway.
Mm-hmm.
And I see myself in one of these women. But these women and these girls who are in our show, they are handpicked. They are nominated because they have understood who their identity is and who they represent.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you need to have standards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so the problem is what we're doing in our world today is saying the standard is whatever's the latest fashion.
Right. Or what media will tell me, or what society will tell me.
But how much does fashion love you? How much does media love you? Do you know how many people I unfollow? How many things I unfollow? Because I'm like, y'all don't even understand. Like, the beauty and identity of a woman is worth covering up. Yeah. Not to the point where, like you said, where you're wearing like a sack over you. Yeah. But rather you're like, oh no, I am worth covering up. My beauty is worth that much.
But doesn't that reflection, okay, so here's the argument, right? And I have homegirls that are close to me in life change and in my life that'll say, no, the ability to be free and liberate and be free and do that because I chose to as a woman and show what I want. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But not cover up because there's a treasure to it. So how, again, there's the balance of this sort of thing that says, and I do this with my diversity training, Sandra, of being able to reclaim this sort of power that says, well, I show this because I'm powerful, not I have to cover it up because I'm powerful. You see what I'm saying? So there's this sort of confusion that happens in society. You're fighting an uphill battle, Sandra. How do you find an opportunity to really speak this to young ladies, to women that feel that covering up is then covering up their beauty, right? That's, you got to let it out. I have to show it off. I have to open up. I have to show more. I have to be more.
Right. So that mentality is a mentality. It's very narrow-minded. It's not believing there's anything else more. So really, it's who do you represent? Do you just represent you? If you represent you, you will always be chasing beauty. Always.
Yeah.
If you represent the most beautiful thing that ever existed, you don't think God's the most beautiful thing? Come on now. Go look at a sunrise. Go look at a mountain landscape. Go look anywhere in nature.
Gotcha. So it's almost
go
like
look at someone and go, oh, wait, that's right. No, you're the beautiful one, God.
Yeah. And
you have been deposited in me. If I allow you to, oh my gosh, you take me to a place I've never felt more secure and beautiful. Because he sees you. He sees every woman and he says, I crafted her just like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But he also created marriage. And he also created relationship. Yeah. And he also created to be beautiful and intimate and sexual. He created sex. He created all that. But lust will always leave you needing, wanting. exposing more.
Yep, it's not enough. It's never enough, and it just
So it's
fizzles
not
in the end.
empowering.
Mhm.
It's confusing. The world is trying
It
to
is.
tell you,
That's
you want
what
to be
I'm saying.
powerful, expose more. It's your body. It's all that, but it's never going to fill you.
Right.
You
And
know
there's
what I'm
never going
saying?
to be enough. The bar will always move. And what I tell my clients and what I tell a lot of
Mhm.
people is like, who sets the standards, right? And this is what we wrestle with. Who is the standard bearer in your life? And so it could be yourself. Okay, I hear that to an extent, but I'm not sure if I have the right gauges. But there can't be anybody horizontally, right? It can't be somebody else
Yeah,
whose bar is
no.
always moving. So society will always move a bar.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when we have to look at the standard bearer and know that that part can't move, and they have the right to be called the standard bearer, now I know what I'm living up to. Not only that, you said I reflect then a beauty,
Yeah.
right? So I often joke, and people hate it when I'm like, man, these good looks. But if I look this good, can you imagine what the person that gave that to me looks like? And that's just an element of just a taste of that beauty. So your fashion show gets to show that off. And gets to walk
Absolutely.
in that glory. That's cool.
Absolutely.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah, and when you tell people what you're doing,
Yeah.
and when you tell them, those designers or those retailers are like, oh, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
you tell
Since
us.
you put it that way, right?
Right. Because they're like, whoa, I didn't even
Yep.
realize there was more.
Yep.
And I think that's what it is. It's like, there's this war. I talk about it in my book. The
Mhm.
war that's after every woman's beauty
Mhm.
because she was made in the image of God.
Right.
She was made to bear that.
Right.
And so there is a war, and
Yeah.
it's about compromise, it's about comparison, it's about confidence,
Yeah.
and it's about hiding and
love
where where we find that control.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
where are
check
you?
it out.
So the last year was the first year of the fashion show. Shameless plug now moment, right? So
Yeah.
let me just say we're on Life Change Lounge, courtesy of Life Change Institute with Sandra Coates here, founder of United+TRU, and she's plugging the fashion show, the second annual. What are we calling this? So the second annual United+TRU
Hey, now it's a conference.
conference.
It's become a conference.
Get out. So
Yep.
go ahead.
That
Tell
was-
us about this.
I know.
When is
we're
it? Where is
expanding.
it? What's the deal?
So it's going to be 2 days, September 17th and 18th, Friday night fashion show, food, there's vendors, there's shopping, there's going to be some fun, there might even be some dancing.
Watch it now.
Come
Don't
on
hurt
now.
yourself.
Come on now.
Careful. Got to dig a little deeper into my repertoire.
Come on. Yeah. No, we have some fun things
That's
we're
cool.
going to be doing. There's going to be a runway again. I mean, it feels like you're at a fashion show in New York. I mean, it really
Wow.
does. We
Wow.
run a legit runway.
That's cool.
And so yeah, it's going to be really, really awesome. And it's for you to invite your girlfriends. It's for you to
Yeah.
come on out. Bring your friends,
Yeah.
moms and daughters. It's really centered for teens and women.
Yeah. So men can't come?
Oh
So,
no!
I mean,
I
that's
was
what
just gonna
fellas.
say it. All are welcome.
Thank
All
you.
are welcome. Please come. Please come and
Yeah.
support women, because you all matter too. How you see women
Yep.
changes
Yep.
how women see women. We
Yep.
need dads. We need husbands. We need fathers. We need men who have integrity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Who are walking the same thing.
Right.
But yet they're telling women, hey, you don't need to be wearing that.
Yeah.
You're too good for that.
Yeah. You're too beautiful, and your work
Yes,
is bigger than that.
your
No doubt.
worth, and that part of it too is your purpose.
Yeah.
Because you and I can see, as God gives us vision, we see purpose down the road, and we're like, oh my gosh, don't settle for that. You're
that's
so much
good.
bigger.
That's so good. So
So-
last year you helped to. I know we talked a little bit last year about really supporting human trafficking, and that's big in this area in Hampton Roads here in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
And then, so is there a mission or is there a purpose behind this year's event?
Yep. So the Friday night fashion show, a large portion of all the proceeds that we raise will go to support to ending human trafficking. It's so big around here, and we want it to stop. And so the idea is that we're together, but we also want to help be those who are rescuing and restoring women who are in that situation.
Gotcha.
So this year we are supporting Safe House Project. So Legend.
With Legend, my boy Nigel.
And
Shout out
Carrie
to Nigel.
Sanders, and I just was with on a Zoom call with the founder, Christy,
Cool.
and she's gonna be coming down and speaking on it, so that'll be part of the
Good.
event too.
Good.
So anyone who buys a ticket, you are giving as well to stop human trafficking locally
awesome.
in our area.
That's awesome.
And then Saturday, it's a backstage pass. It is a half-day women's conference. All of it's at Real Life Christian Church. Centerville Turnpike.
Give the address because you know we got people tuning in from all over. So.
Yes, it is going to be off the hook.
Cool.
And so, yeah, we'll still have vendors. We'll still have we have apparel. We've got a lot of fun stuff happening.
That's awesome. So what's crazy, Sandra, is this. That's just one of the many things, right, that God put in your heart. So we talk about this life change moment and this sort of journey that was the life change moment that led to that. We talk about then wanting to put this in written form, right? You've been talking about this book that you're going to drop this summer. That you gave me. You know, I had the privilege of reading, and I'll tell you, it's bad when I'm sitting there reading. It's 2 a.m. I'm like, man, I got to get up in 3 hours. What is going on? Like, and I'm telling you, no lie, I'm sitting there reading and reading and reading. And I'm like, I can't. And this is the woman that I know that's being transformed into this beauty. What gave you the courage, the confidence to then put that into written form to share? Because listen, a lot of people and a lot of women would not share a lot of these hurts, a lot of these trials that they continue to deal with in this journey. They'll share it after they've reached a certain point, but to put it out there for everybody to read, what gave you the thought that this would be a good idea to put it in book form and then sell it to everybody?
So, first of all, I was the last person who said I would ever do that. I'm like, I'll cheer anybody on. I will support any of y'all who are writing a book. Good for you. I'm with you. I'm there. No, I don't want to do this. Come on. The late nights, the early mornings. It is so much work. It's so much work. But when you're called to it, what God told me was, I didn't just do this for you. I didn't just do this for you. I did this for every girl, every woman, and so that's where this all has come from. Is that it's not yours, it's not your message.
Right.
It's their message, and you need to speak it to them, and you need to tell them.
Absolutely.
Because there is a real live enemy, and he wants women and girls to be confused about who they are, that somehow they have to earn this beauty or feel like they're enough. Because I was like, why do I feel like I'm not enough? I'm never enough. Right. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? I know you do. I know it. But
male and female feel that. I'll tell you what. You know, I tell a lot of folks all the time, and that's something that I wrestle with. That I'm going through counseling for, to work on the whole fact that I'm not enough. And it's again the standard bearer sort of thing. Enough according to who or according to what? Right. Because you were enough when you were made, exactly the way you were.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, all right. So here's the thing, right? You put that in book form and you say, I'm going to talk about this. And what happens with this is we think to ourselves, right? These are the voices. Nobody's going to get this. This is my story, right? There's this isolating feature that I talk about and I work with clients about all the time that says, I'm the only one dealing with this. Or if you only knew the real part of me, you wouldn't love me the same, or you wouldn't appreciate. And you don't get this because my issue is different. Yeah, there's some people that wrestle with addiction, but not like this, or not what. And so it kind of makes us feel lonely and it isolates us. So part of this, Sandra, I found was that it brings people together to say, oh, that's your story and I'm okay with your story. Let me tell you mine. So it empowers people to then share their story as well. And then there's sort of confidence and growth in numbers, right?
Yeah.
Did you find that when you were writing this and when you asked people to read this, like what was the feedback you were getting?
A lot of people, you know I don't like to brag about myself.
I'm putting you on the spot to do it, girl.
Man,
come on. I told you.
Man.
This is shameless plug time.
A lot of people had the same reaction you did. They're like, I can't stop reading this. I can't put this down. And I'm like, all right. Yeah.
So did you think they were blowing smoke? Or you thought they were like, come on, man, you're just saying that? Or did you think that there was...
I was humbled. I was overwhelmed because you're exactly right. When you think you're the only one, that's what happens. You think you're the only one. Right. And you're like, well, nobody else is my size. Nobody else, you know. I mean, I was 5'9" and like 200 pounds by like 5th grade. Wow. Going into 6th grade. I was like, I just was begging to be someone different. Begging. Like, why am I this size?
Anybody but me.
Anyone but me.
Right.
And God was like, boom, I want to take her just how she is.
Yep, and use this story.
But I didn't know, fast forward all these years. You know what I'm saying? And so, but yeah, I mean, that's part of why in the book, it's 4 parts. Yep. After each part is a reflection discussion section, and it's for you. It's for the reader.
Exactly.
And you can do it in a small group setting. You can do it by yourself. It's made to talk about. Like, I'm going first. Right. Now it's your turn.
Right. And how liberating that is. Look, to be able to sit and take, I see this, right? I'm a girl dad. I got teenage girls. And it's not that if dads can do this and find the power out there to sit down and say, hey, let's read this, right? I already told Sandra, I got an advanced order already for multiple books, right?
Yeah.
And so to sit down and say, let's walk through this and let's talk about this. Let's talk about this story, Sandra's real story, and then what about yours? And have this reflective work. But how transforming would that be to see women that can sit down, generationally and talk about their story in this process, right? Because the challenges have always been there through society. We talk about 2021 as crazy as it is, but 1950 was a challenge. 1920 was a challenge, right? 1984 was a challenge, right? And so women that grew up in different generations can sit down together and talk about this and give their story. Everyone has a story to tell.
Yes.
And there's value in that story.
Amen.
That's it. Right? And so we have to own that. We may not like the value, may think it is not enough value, but there's value in your story. Can you share it to empower somebody else to see that there's value in theirs as well and come together? That's what I love about it, right?
It's so good. And I think, too, there's so much hurt and there's so much pain and there's so much unfair problems in this world.
Yeah.
Life is not fair. And the good thing is we're not the only ones that know that. God knows that.
Yep.
And so as we trust in him, as we give all of our junk to him, all of the stuff that we're like, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Why me? Why is all this stuff? As we ask those hard questions, as we dialogue, but as we understand he wants better than for our life, better than we could ever plan or imagine.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Like that's what makes me keep going. Like, really,
Bingo.
God?
Bingo.
You love me more than my mess, more than all this stuff, or maybe it's my abuser, maybe it's somebody who's hurt me and who was supposed to love me, who was supposed to protect me. I'm just thinking about people out there that, man, they've been through some stuff that I'm like, no, but wait, there's more.
Right. So look, this is the part that I reflect on. It gives me chills, Sandra, because when we look at certain parts and hiccups or even hard parts of our story, whether we're walking through it now, or we know we just came through the season, right? What motivates us past it? I know for me personally, it was my reflective work with a therapist that told me, when I was facing and I was looking at ending my life, I was looking at there's nothing else, that I can't do this no more, and quitting. He's like, you ain't gonna do it, and I was like, okay, so therapists aren't supposed to say that. Right. You're not supposed to challenge me on this one, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
And he's like, and he said that boldly, and he's like, tell me why not. And I'm sitting there in my mess, and I'm sitting there in my tears. And I told him, because this is not how the story ends. And that's what keeps driving now, right? So when we look at the birth of Life Change Institute, it's going to turn a year old in next week. We turn a year old.
No.
It's been a year. It's been crazy. But looking at this journey that was sort of this brokenness, and the brokenness that continues, but saying this isn't the end of the story. There's so much more glory. There's so much more to be had. Right? So if I share this story freely, you put it in written format. I just do it verbally when I talk to clients and when I talk to people. And you do too. We give people that freedom to say, hey, I know that. I know that story, and here's part of mine, and here's where the similarities are, and that's empowering. So it was meant to empower and motivate and say, there's more.
Yes.
There's more.
Yeah. No, I mean, these women and girls specifically need to know, one, their identity, two, that there is a war after them, but three, that the wounds and the battles and the scars that they bear, they are being used for something great. Yeah. So don't give up, don't quit, and just know that God knows about scars. Yeah. I mean, Jesus hung on a cross.
Right.
Took on all the scars. You know what I'm saying? Like, talk about one who understands suffering and pain, and that brings me comfort. To know that, but we're all in the battle. There's a battle going on, and we need every woman and girl to know that and to be working through. Man, there's no one like me.
So look, I'm gonna challenge you with something. I'm gonna ask you something, right? Because I'm gonna switch gears a little bit from this. You have this desire to empower women, young ladies, girls, and Sandra is a boy mom. She's got a house full of testosterone. She was complaining, y'all, even earlier, that even the dog is a boy. And she's got people, everybody's peeing in the yard but you, right? So you got a house full of testosterone. God gave you this sort of marriage and 3 boys and the dog, and you have this heart for young ladies. Why? You were made to be a mom with 3 boys, right? You have all this testosterone flowing through the house. Your son is trying out for football and all this. Why is your heart so driven to empower young ladies, to empower older ladies of all stages, and you've got nothing but testosterone in the house. What's driving this? Is it just your own story to try to prove something? Is it that Well, I mean, what's the deal?
That was a good question. Good question.
I get one every now and then.
Come on now. Come on. My story is part of it. The testimony that I am is another part, but the holy discontent that I see happening, where I see women and girls compromising and believing less for themselves every single day. All you have to do is look on your phone, just scroll through and say, women are trying to be something that it's so empty. It's lying to them, and it's using them. It's using them, and I'm like, no, that's not right. That's not right. That's not beauty.
Yeah.
What the world calls beauty is not beauty. And so it's really about speaking to women and girls about the identity that I know exists in them, just like it exists in me.
Even though you don't have one in the house to keep speaking into.
Every time I was about, we were finding out, I was like, this one's going to be a girl. I'm going to have one girl.
Yeah, and he said, nope.
But you know what he gave me a heart for was so many girls. He gave me a heart for so many women and girls.
Wait.
And
so wait, okay. So now, your oldest is 15, your youngest is how old?
7.
7.
Going on 12.
Yeah, he thinks he's a man, right? He's looking for the chest hair that's coming up. How are you teaching these young boys to value a woman's worth and real worth? You walk in it, you speak all this, you're doing the motivational speaking, the fashion show, and this and that, and you've got young boys who are starting to look at, hey, she's a little cute, or Ma, what's up with this? And they're looking for certain qualities that they're attracted to.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about attracting. We're talking about, if we can go a number of different ways with this, Sandra, from attraction that is attraction, you have people that are dealing with same-sex attraction, people that are dealing with their own sexuality and finding and discovering this. How do they treat a woman, right? The access that kids have, unfiltered access to the media and the stuff that's out there and pornography and everything else. So you've got a house full of boys. I mean, let's be real. I was a teenage boy. I was 7-year-old. I was 15. And we didn't have the internet, thank God, back then. But
right. Well,
I know I was a boy. How are you teaching this sort of value of women in a house full of testosterone? What do you do?
It's one conversation at a time. We have safeguards up, and I'm thankful for my husband because both he and I are very aware of it. He more than me. He has conversations all the time with them, but I do too, about what does that mean that if you're just seeing a girl and you think she's cute, God gave you that desire. That's a good thing, but it's what you do with it. There's got to be more, and so I want to know, like, is she all about her, or is she about you? Like, is it about a friendship? Is it built on a friendship? What is it built on? We talk so much about the internet, so much, because that's what it's doing, is luring them in, and the visual, how visual guys are. So we have covenant eyes on all of we have those blocking devices, that accountability, because we all need that, especially men and boys. And so, we're real open about that, of having those safeguards on. And if ever a boy, that we know, or someone messes up, we talk to them about it. Like, somebody's going to show you this. And so how do you handle that? How do you handle that? Because we all need each other. We need each other,
So in my house, I know I could tell you that there's a fear when Daddy starts bringing up these issues, these social issues, because we talk about it matter-of-factly at the table, and we use proper words, and we say, and they're like, Daddy, please stop saying that word. I'm like, well, what word? And it's any number of words that I try to embarrass my kids with. But there's a normalizing of the conversation that needs to happen so that they know that they have a space that they can talk real about this. Why are you attracted to somebody? What is it that you like? What is it you're not? What is society telling you, media telling you, your friends into, right? There's so many layers of this. And then what does scripture talk about with this, right? And really, really pursuing kind of truth in that. But can we establish an environment that kids can talk freely about it? What I know from my past is that wasn't nurtured. What I'm hearing in yours and your story was that it wasn't nurtured to have an honest conversation about food, about body image, about attraction, about these things. So what I'm saying is we need to have an environment that you can have a real conversation. Nobody said it was an easy conversation, right?
It's not. Well, what I didn't tell you, or what we didn't talk about too, is that I've been a nurse working at a crisis pregnancy center 16 years in July.
Wow.
And I have met some of the most incredible women who are going through things that are so hard, and they're pregnant, and they're in an unplanned pregnancy. And I've talked to so many fathers who are scared to death or thinking, what am I going to do? She's pregnant. And so I just want you to know that I have met with these girls. I have met with some of these guys. I've talked to them to say, your life's not over.
Right.
Yes, this is a huge detour.
Right.
Yes, you guys need to if you're trying to go to this, wherever your goal is, you got to have goals. You got to have dreams and goals. But you got to be hitting towards those dreams and goals.
Right.
And so what kind of person do you want to be? What do you want to be known for?
Right. The vision has to still exist, even though you've taken some detours and you've made some bad decisions, that what you felt were bad decisions. I talk about the old cartoon, I think it's Family Circle, right? Where, the mom sends Billy out to go get butter from the neighbor, and he goes all around, right? It may have taken many detours, but you don't know the whole story. You don't know where this journey was going to lead you, and there's still more to be had, again, like we were saying.
Yeah.
So one mistake, one hiccup, doesn't mean you can't buy it back and keep going. Yes. Right? And so that's the honest conversation too. And so I love that you brought in Crisis Pregnancy Center with that. I love that you can have a space where people can go and have a conversation. This is scary. This is a lot. I told Sandra, this is something I'm thinking about as a girl dad all the time. I've got teenage girls, and I'm looking at some of these things and saying, how am I going to navigate some of these conversations that are yet to come?
Yes.
Right? When it comes to relationships, when it comes to decisions that they know that weren't right for them. And can I be honest, and can I have the conversation? And then how do I reflect and tell my own story in this? And that's something that a lot of us wrestle with. If we didn't handle some of these things right, we're fearful of having a conversation with the next generation. So what our parents did was the same thing. They shut up, and they just chose not to have it. You can't avoid the conversation because we see what happened, what it did to us. We have to be able to have the conversation no matter how difficult, no matter how direct, no matter how uncomfortable it makes us, because we know that avoiding the conversation will allow somebody else to influence that in a way that we can't control and we may not like. Yeah. So that's what the book does. So that's what the fashion show does. So that's what you get to do at Crisis Pregnancy. That's what you get to do in speaking to your young men. Right?
Yeah.
How are you not exhausted? Listen, I'm gonna ask this while you guys are here watching. Whoever's on there, just give me a chance. Write in some questions. Let us answer some questions. We want to field some questions from you guys who are watching this, and we're gonna keep talking about real life things. This is Life Change Lounge. This is Life Change Institute. This is United+TRU. How are you not exhausted? Because you talk with a passion that is energizing, and yet I know is a tireless work. This is not, things are still going on. How are you not exhausted doing this?
That's a great question. It's so fun to engage with people. It's so fun. Like, I'm reading Carolyn's. I'm like, hey, Carolyn, we got to hang out. I love it. Reading her, what she's saying about, how she lives in that same household and what she deals with. I love interacting with people. I love being able to say that this movement, that what I'm doing, that what I've been vulnerable to do, that I felt like God was saying, you need to do this. Because there's more women that need to be set free. It brings in a new strength that I don't have on my own, but it is tiring. It is. You feel like, I'm like, man, it's like birthing a baby, and I'm like, this thing needs to grow up. It needs to not need me so much. But right now, we are in the thick of it, and so. But really, the icing on the cake is planning for these big events, and we're just hoping and praying COVID won't restrict that. Because it's going to be off the chain, and I know it's going to draw so many people from Hampton Roads, and we have people who are going to be coming in from out of town.
All over. So look, you can hear the passion. You see that this is your baby. You're nurturing this. This is your vision God set on your heart through your life. This isn't not your husband's breaths. This is not Sawyer's. This is not Fisher's, right? This is not your boy's vision. How do you not lose them in the process of pursuing this vision that God set? How do you keep the balance of nurturing your own household, your own relationship, your own marriage? Because it's very easy to lose sight of the things that are there when you're pursuing this sort of vision. And real quickly, it turns into, what some would call a sinful sort of pursuit of glory or excellence, because you forgot these guys and they weren't on board. How do you keep the balance of the two? Because I know they're supportive, but that's a lot of work. And Sandra's doing it. Where are they? What's going on?
So, good thing. I have a husband who is very supportive. It took him a little while And I was glad, we had to figure this out, that I was like, I feel like this is the direction that God is calling me to, but I need you there. I don't want to do it without you. He joined on my board, because then we had to convert to a nonprofit and that whole undertaking this last year. So he was like, he is gifted in ways I'm not. And so I was like, hey, I need you. I want you there. And he said yes. So that was a huge part. My boys, they roll their eyes a lot. But, what is it? That's teenagers, right?
Yep.
They roll their eyes like, Mom, are you still writing that book? And I'm like, dude.
That's a lot.
I'm like, back it up, Jay.
Listen, mine won't wear the swag that is life change, because I literally get, doesn't that mean that people have problems? I don't want to wear that stuff that says that I have problems. I'm like, wow, thanks a lot. This is what I get for being a great therapist and a great life changer. Like, now I have problems. So
we all have problems.
Man, get over it. So look, I want to field this question. Thank you, Alexis, for writing this. She says, do you talk to your boys and girls about pornography? How do you talk to them about something like that? How do you, and I'm going to take it one step further too. Some people say, embrace that and then kind of go with the flow. So how do you address that issue?
I think it's really important. Thank you for asking that. It's really important to address, what does God say? That God invented sex. We are big proponents of, it is not bad to be curious, to want to explore those things, to want to see what that looks like, to understand about your body, to understand about someone else's body of the opposite sex, or what they look like, or all that stuff. But really understanding that pornography it's meant to rob you of what God, it's this gift that you have. And so what it does is then it robs you of the sexuality that you've been blessed with, you've been given, and it births something in you that is really this addiction. And it's so yes, talk about it. But what we talk about is that people don't understand. It's not just an image. It's not just something that you're watching. It actually, and there's research on it, that it changes things in your brain.
Yep, the wiring changes.
And so, God made all of this. He didn't make pornography, excuse me. He made our brains.
But he did make the sexuality. He did make the attraction of one body to another. He did make the beauty in the nakedness. There is truth in that. And so some people will say, well, since he made it, I'm just enjoying that, right? And I hear the same thing in talking about substances, and it's from the earth and it's meant to, but there's this sort of bastardizing. There's this sort of taking it and destroying this beauty to fit my own desires and needs, not what it was truly meant to be beautiful for. Again, you said this earlier, it's to reflect the beauty that is something bigger than me.
Yes.
And if I'm taking this in from a pornography thing, a drug thing, right? Am I appreciating it from the beauty that was the maker of that beauty? Or am I just taking it in because I wanted to appreciate something that I wanted, which makes me now the God, not the thing that made it.
Yeah. It's like, think of like the most decadent dessert. I love sweets,
Look at you talking about food. Really?
I don't have a lot. I don't eat a lot. But because I had to really give over all of that.
Understand.
But let's think about, I don't know, chocolate cake or something, cheesecake, whatever you think. Think about the most richest decadent dessert, and think about that as sex within marriage, the way God ordained it, unlimited, free, beautiful, fullest of intimacy, and no shame. And then think about, some tired old little cookie. You know what I'm saying? That's like, happens to be the same flavor. That's pornography. That's sex. That's just sex. That's,
there's a sweetness to it, but it's not fulfilling what it really was meant to be. Good way to put it.
No, it's like you're settling, You're settling for so much less. But
so look, thank you. So here's another one I got from Joel on here, right? And he talks about this thing that is attraction. He talks about, what we like and what we perceive as beauty, but then what society says is okay and not. Right. So when we talk about relationships, Sandra, we talk about what I like, what I don't like. I like white. I like black. I like tall. I like short. I like big. I like little. But my, society isn't cool with that, or I'm not supposed to. Right. And there's a lot to be said even now in today's sort of what's going on in society with mixed relationships. Right. And so here we have, I kind of like this white girl. I like this black dude. I like this, thick woman. I like this skinny chick. Right. How do you kind of walk in this sort of truth that is okay to be drawn to and attracted to something, that society says is not okay, and then you feel this sort of pressure to fit in, right? And so that's the wrestle that I think that he's dealing with, right? How so many people wrestle with this. I like what I like. God made me to like certain things, and how do I be okay with what I like, and then and use it kind of for a beautiful thing, right? For glory, what do you do with that?
So, it, one of the things that I think is really important is to know that what society says and what culture says is one going to change. It's always changing.
It does.
God doesn't change. He never has. And so one of the things that we need to understand is, one, it doesn't change, and two, he is known for love. He is known for his love and his grace and his forgiveness, more than he is known for anything else. And so what we need to understand is, we stand before this holy God, undeserving, but yet we are so loved and valued and so precious, just how we are. Society doesn't think that. Culture doesn't think that. So yes, cross-culturally and things like that, there are things you have to work out. God can do that. If he wants you to be with someone, that's on him. You submit yourself, to him, and he works those things out. And so they don't become barriers anymore. It really is more of a reflection.
Again, the reflection of the beauty. Does my relationship, regardless of how it is, reflect the beauty that is the standard bearer, the standard maker that was this relationship and this beauty? Whatever that relationship is, tall, short, skinny, fat, black, white, can it really reflect the beauty that is the maker of beauty? That's the key question in any type of relationship that we're having. And we're talking romantic relationships, but we're also just talking relationships in general. Can I have a relationship with the individual to the point that it reflects a beauty that is, the maker of that beauty, the maker of this person, the maker of relationships?
Well, and you have to understand too that there is confusion that is being stirred up. And it's, who am I attracted to? Am I attracted to the opposite sex? Am I attracted to the same sex? Am I attracted to this? Am I attracted to that? Who am I? There's question of identity all the time. There's also question of sexuality all the time. None of them are bad to ask. Just like I work with women all the time who are like, am I a bad person? I'm thinking about having an abortion. And I'm like, I respect all your decisions, but wait a minute. We got to slow down here, because you hold value. And there's no one there's a plan for your life, but your identity is so much more than your sexuality. Two totally different things. Culture would say they're the same.
There's
you see
more
what I'm
to
saying?
it.
Or your identity is wrapped up in, who am I attracted to? Who do I dress like? Do I call myself this? Do I call myself that? There's so much of this confusion. And if you see it, it's the same theme. Where there is no confusion, but we need to seek God and say, Lord, I'm having these questions. I need you to straighten this out for me. You know what I'm saying?
And have the ongoing conversation again with the standard maker. Have the ongoing conversation with God. Have the ongoing conversation to allow yourself to pursue the answer to that. This is the real answer, right? Don't stop asking the questions. Don't stop challenging that. I think, and I tell my folks in recovery all the time, Sandra, if you're talking higher power, you're talking about God or whatever, he's big enough to handle my questions, my language, where I'm at. If he ain't big enough to handle my foul mouth, what made him God? Like, that threw him off his game? Come on.
No.
It's got to be big enough. So don't stop asking the questions and pursuing the right answers. I love it.
Don't think someone else outside of that is going to love you more.
Exactly. Yes.
No. Culture doesn't care about you. Don't get that twisted.
No.
They will.
So now look, here's a good question, right? I like this. Shout out to Justin. He asked this one, right? He says, do you catch wreck from people feeling that you're obviously it's easier for you to talk about feeling beautiful no matter your size and weight, since you kind of fit the bill now, right? You're not that lady that you were. And people say this a lot. They say this in so many circles, so I'm glad. I'll tell you, I'm going to take this a little bit. I'm not the one in recovery. I'm not the one that's this. I obviously have money. I'm not the one that's broke, right? So we do this reflecting, that is, I was there. I remember those days. But now it's easy for me to talk about because I'm not there anymore, right? So what do you do with people that are saying, yeah, easy for you to say, Sandra, you're beautiful and you're skinny and you're tall and you got no pimples and you've got a husband and you've got kids and so God has blessed you with all this. So it's easy for you to go out there and empower people because you ain't there no more. What do you say to people like that?
It's a great one. What I say is anything of good, anything that's beautiful, anything you see that's good in my life is not mine. It never has been. I mean, one of the things I want to include in my book and on my website is pictures of me, because people are like, I want to see pictures of you.
Nobody believes it.
When you were big, when you were this and that. I was like, yeah, I was on the swim team. That was all the time. And I'm like, man, that bathing suit, all that stuff. No. But you have to understand, when you talk to people, you can tell fake. You can sniff fake out. And
Very
you can
true.
tell people
Facts.
if they're on their own agenda. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the other thing, though. Here's what I think too, and I know.
But it's a good question.
I think it's great because while again we look at standard bearers and all that, we fit certain bills, right? So I make an income. I don't have any of this, right? I got a beautiful shiny bald head, right?
Stop it.
And I leave these sort of things, and people say, okay, well, you fit the quote unquote bill, but we don't recognize that people within themselves, right? This is more of a self journey and an acceptance of what God made me to be. Right, so transforming lives to what they were meant to be. Salo's life, right, and your walk and your journey to be united and true in terms of what God made you to be is the fact that I look in the mirror sometimes, and everybody else may see something, but I don't see the same thing.
Oh yeah.
I do not see the beauty, the wealth, the status, the this and that. And so while other people may think, oh, you already got it, I never thought I had it. And so a lot of the work is internal, of me owning the fact that I've got something that was somebody found of value. Thank you, Lord, that you gave it to me, because I wrestle with identifying that I even had it in the first place. Even if I look the part, smell the part, walk the part, it's hard to own something when you never believed you had it. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
So hard. That's why it's a great question.
But yeah, why do you see that there are runway models all over the world? Don't you think there's some of the, not all of them, but they're some of the most insecure people. And it's like, you could be on the cover of a magazine. You could be have people chasing after you, and still be the most insecure person. And so your security comes from who made you, truly. Now, I will say too, when God gets a hold of you and you want to change, you want more, then you and I start to do things that make us better. Right. We look better. We feel better. We have confidence that we never had.
Yeah,
and there's a glow. Exactly. There's a glow that comes. Wouldn't God do that so that then he would say, you and I can say to other people, dude, you can have this too.
Right. This is yours for the taking too. Just own it.
Exactly. Don't follow me.
Yep. I love it.
But you know what I'm saying? Because you and I have come from somewhere.
I love it.
We didn't always just arrive at this. I have not always been like this.
Didn't
and I have so much more to go. But what I can say to you, what I can say to her is, oh no, you have beauty. You may not see it, but I want you to know who does. And he wants to change you so that you don't ever have to chase that again.
And you never said, I love it, Sandra, because you never said too, this was an easy journey, right? Everybody thinks you just grab it and just go. Now it's that easy to grab, but to really fully embrace it and appreciate it, it's going to take work to do. You have to die to self. You have to die to this old one, who you were, what these old images and impressions were you thought it was supposed to be, and put the work in to say, I own this and I will walk in this, and it's going to exhaust me and it's going to whatever, but it's worth it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh man, I love it. Man, that was a good one, Justin, man. Shout out to you. Listen, Sandra, we've got a few minutes left, and I want to wrap up with the only other unscripted question. There's so many that we could take that are coming through. I really want to ask you this, because I like wrapping up with this. So having talked about your book, having talked about the fashion show, having talked about the work you do with Crisis Pregnancy, having seen the upcoming events, now that you're in this place of being able to speak out on these things and sitting here on Life Change Lounge, to you, to Sandra Coates, to United+TRU, life change means blank. And I ask all my guests this. To Sandra Coates, life change means, true life change means what? Got it, y'all. I got it. And she knew it was coming. That's the funny part.
I'm like trying to wrap it up, say something good. I would say that it means that you believe that you were here for a purpose, and that there is a purpose and a worth and a beauty in you that no one else has. And that you are continuing to walk in that. And I believe the only way to do that is to surrender your life to what God has, and to seek Him for that. Not what other people would say about Him, but Him.
Right. Life change means that.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely
And He
love
calls Himself the Counselor, that Holy Spirit. He calls Himself the Counselor in the Bible all throughout. And I'm like, isn't that true? We all need a counselor.
I need it.
I need one all the time.
I need it. And a counselor is meant to guide and direct, and to kind of help you navigate and see some of the truths that come out of these things that you're walking through. And so that's exactly that. When we're able to do that, Sandra, and this is what you're saying, when you're able to finally own that and walk through that and walk in that, you'll see change. You'll see true life change. You'll see this beauty that comes as a result. Perfect. I love it. So look, thank you, Sandra. Listen, give me the shameless plugs. Give me the Instagrams and all the handles and everything. Where can people find more of you and be able to connect with you individually? Where can they find you?
Yeah. Oh man. Follow me on Instagram, Sandra Coates. United+TRU, my social media intern. She is a student at Regent University. Awesome girl. Love her. She's on United+TRU Instagram. We have a Facebook page. I have a private page, about 400 ladies and girls who are on it. Sorry, dudes.
It's all right, man. Y'all got me. You got Life Change Institute. Give me a shout.
But yeah, I'd love for you to join that. It's United+TRU, but it's my private group on Facebook. Yeah, man, I'm excited about what's to come. The book is called, I'll give you a sneak peek.
Yes.
It is called None Like Her.
Yes.
And it is Awaken the Mark of Beauty Within You. And so it's all about you.
Yes.
And I go first. But I hope that it blesses you. I hope that it transforms you. I hope that my goal is that it's simple, it's powerful, and it's contagious.
Yes. I think that it'll be nothing less of that, because your passion is simple. Your passion is contagious. I'm telling you. So, crew out there, this was a Life Change Lounge, courtesy of Life Change Institute, and Sandra Coates was here. And I'll tell you, find us all on all the platforms on Life Change Institute. And Sandra, I just want to give you a personal thanks. I think that this was absolutely amazing, and I think that there was no better way to really honor a recent Mother's Day, and even this sort of time of our lives, than to really highlight the work that you're doing, and anything Life Change can do and Salo Ortiz can do in my family and my crew to support this movement, this calling, and this life-changing work. We're on board. So thank you, Sandra. Don't stop.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, I'll be seeing you at the show.
Better believe it. I'm
Come
DJing.
on now.
What's
Come
up?
on.
Let's
Come
go.
on.
Listen, follow us. This is the end of this interview. Hope you find us for the next one. We'll be coming in a couple of months.
Bye.
Take care, y'all. Bye.